Hello, it's Blush Cameron here. How's everybody's quarantine going? Mine's going okay. I left the house for the first time today in about 2 weeks to go to the grocery store. It's pretty interesting. It's a really bleak scene there at the grocery store. The employees seem to be in pretty good spirits, but it really felt like a disaster movie. Like, the place was not tidy, and not as clean as usual, and like everybody's wearing masks, all the customers, or a lot of them. I live in Philly, and the amount of cases here is relatively low compared to a lot of other places. Last time I checked, I think we were at coming up to 500 cases. That was a few days ago, so it's probably more now, but I think it just hasn't hit us yet. I mean, it could be lack of testing, but I think that it just hasn't hit us yet. And they're saying if it does hit us hard, it will be in the next, 2 to 3 weeks or so that we'll really see the hospitals imploding, and, that will really suck. But the mayor seems to be doing a good job here. So I don't know, this is not supposed to be Philly news, Blush Cameron's Philly news. That's not what this is. We're here today to talk to my friend Harrison Smith. He plays in a band called Turtlenecked. It's his band. He's the brains behind it. He does all the songs. It's just him. If you're unfamiliar with Turtlenecked, I hope you'll go check it out real fast. It's on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. I'm pretty sure you'll like it, especially if you like my music, because their style is very similar at times, like poppy, punky, sometimes post-punk, sometimes power pop type songs. One thing I learned going back and listening to all this stuff for the podcast is how varied his music can be. He really writes whatever he feels like writing, which is awesome. I like Harrison. I haven't known him that long, but he feels like a brother to me. Definitely one of my favorite people that I've met this past year. What have you guys been doing during your quarantine? Hit me up. Let me know. Blush Cameron on all social media. Leave a comment. Tell me what you've been doing. What movies you've been watching. What games you've been playing. Because I've been playing a lot of games. If you want to hear me talk about the various media that I've been consuming, come to my Patreon. Patreon.com/BlushCameron. That's where I do solo episodes and extra bits from the main episodes that get cut out. I post B-sides, demos of my own music, etc. The usual podcast stuff. So yeah, come find me over there. Go find Turtlenecked, aka Harrison Smith, at Harrison Smith on Instagram, I believe. I'm starting the show with a new song of his coming up off of his new upcoming album. The song is called Flirtation, and the album is called Kapow. And he'll be talking about the album and everything else about him in this episode. I'll end the episode with one of his old songs called Underwear. It's a great song. I think you'll like it. I think it's a good it's a good vibe for the end of the episode. So, please stick around. This is one of my favorite conversations of the podcast so far. So I hope it's one that you will enjoy as much as I did. See you later. doing this podcast thing, and I was listening to all of your music.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of music that I didn't know you even released. Like, you have a ton of releases that I didn't even know about.
Oh yeah, on Bandcamp.
So I guess I'm interested in knowing just like how you even started getting into music in the first place, like alternative music, and like what's your like first memory of even like being like, oh, this is a cool song.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I remember. Let me think. I have a bunch of like really early memories of listening to music. Like the first album I ever bought was American Idiot by Green Day. I was in 4th grade and I bought it at Target on CD. And I might have told you about this already, but my dad only let me listen to like 2 songs because he read the lyric booklet.
Oh, damn.
He was like, "You're not allowed. This is inappropriate."
Damn.
So that made me want to listen to it a lot more, honestly. And so I have that memory. And then I also remember listening to these 2 like CD compilations that my cousins made. It was like for their wedding. Like I think it was some stuff that they played on the dance floor, and like they gave CDs of like whatever the playlist was out to all the wedding guests. And I remember listening to those all the time. And there were like specific songs that I would return to. But those are some of my earliest memories of rock music and like dance music.
Yeah. So your parents were like a little bit strict about it.
Yeah, I think just because I was so young. Like I don't even know how old you are in 4th grade, like 9 or 10. So.
Yeah. So I didn't like have a whole lot of restrictions. Like if I wanted to like play like an M-rated game, I could. But I think I understand like how that like not being able to would make somebody like more compelled to do it. For me, it was kind of the opposite though. It was like I am like not restricted in watching this like R-rated movie, but I'm like I don't want to because it's scary, like just the fact that it's like I don't know, like yeah, like swear words. My mom was like, you can swear at the house, just don't do it in public. But even then, it's like I don't want to swear at all because there's something bad about it apparently.
Oh yeah. I remember reading this book called Spud that my mom or dad bought for me, and it's like a coming of age kind of like young adult novel, I guess. And it's about these like boys at a boarding school in South Africa, and it's like all about like sex and like I don't know, like all that stuff. And I remember like reading it, and I was so like nervous and embarrassed that I told my parents to return it to Barnes and Noble. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, we had this in 5th grade. My friend and I found this book at the library called "When Dad Killed Mom," and it was like the most like insane like like tragedy book. I don't know why they had it. It was like really like obscene. But yeah, we were like, "Whoa, this is crazy," and we took turns reading it. When did you start playing instruments, and what was your first instrument?
I was forced to play violin from the ages of 4 to 12. So
Nice.
Forever ago. And then when I turned 12, I talked my way out of playing violin by agreeing to pick up the guitar.
Nice,
and
dude.
So then I've been playing guitar since I was 12, and then I started teaching myself drums when I was like 16, and then that was that basically.
That was kind of my trajectory too. Like I started with violin in late elementary school, and then went to guitar. But you like grew up in Portland?
I grew up in Seattle, or like outside of it.
Okay.
Like the suburbs.
Were your parents like kind of like, I don't know, what were your parents like? Besides being strict.
Besides being strict. I don't know. My dad is definitely stricter than my mom, and he's dead now, but he was like, basically he worked in like sales for like an elevator company, and then for a few medical companies, like selling and like marketing like CAT scans and x-rays and shit like that. and he's very charismatic and like kind of an entertainer type. And then my mom was in school when I was younger, like studying for a degree in psychology, basically, and sort of like like I don't think she majored specifically in sociology. Her major is something like very specific, but now she works as like a social worker and sort of like a therapist for kind of like at-risk youth, or like at like sort of a community facility.
That's cool.
So growing up, I feel like my life is very like pretty normal, like white bread, like upper middle class, like
yeah. I wasn't sure. I felt like it could go that way, or like I could see your parents being like bohemian, like hippie type people.
No, I really wish. I mean, I think like that's my upbringing has shaped my interest in the arts extensively because it was something I was not exposed to. Like a lot of people I meet in New York grew up, adjacent to like indie rock superstars, or like their parents are artists, or they just like have been around the arts and like music their whole lives. Whereas like I only found out about it through the internet and through like the digging through CDs at the library and stuff. Like my parents didn't know any artists, and they don't know that much about music or like popular culture. So like it was kind of an escape for me. Or like,
do you have siblings?
I do have a younger brother named Maddie who is 20 right now.
Word.
He just texted me to tell me that Rush Limbaugh has lung cancer.
Oh yeah, I saw that trending today. Man, Twitter's kind of like an intense place right now.
I bet.
With the Iowa caucuses today.
Oh yeah, I know. Let's go Bernie, baby.
When did you start? Like, did you play in bands before you started Turtlenecked?
Wait. Did I play in bands? Yeah, I played in a band called Cavalier in high school. That was sort of a pop punk band, and I played bass and did like backup vocals. And I did that for like a year probably. And then maybe a year and a half or something. And then that was basically my only like real band. Like I played like, I remember playing at a church once, and then I also played at like some talent show at my junior high with my friends.
Oh, hell yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, we covered a Deftones song, instrumental, at my 7th grade talent show.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So when did Turtleneck start then?
Turtleneck began in 2014. I think that was my first release, or maybe it says 2015, but I started writing in 2014. Pretty much, seriously. Hold on, let me check on this hot water real quick. I have to get tea.
Yeah, go for it.
Edit this out later.
Yeah.
Woo, I'm back.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, what was happening around that time when you started Turtlenecked, and what was kind of like leading to that, and like what was your intention starting it, or like what were you thinking about doing when you started it? What was the plan?
I don't know. I guess I just had I've mentioned this a long time ago in this like brief little interview, but like I basically went to college, and I had always kind of considered myself a musician, because I had played instruments my whole life, but I had never really like, I don't know, felt the drive to like write my own songs. Or when I had tried to write songs in like high school, I was just like, I don't really have anything to write about, or like I didn't have any good ideas, or I didn't really know how to go about songwriting like at all. Mm-hmm. And so I got to college, and I like met a lot more like musicians there because, I was like from the suburbs where there was like none. So I was kind of felt the pressure to be like, oh, like I'm actually, I don't know, I'm actually not a musician. I haven't like made anything. And so I was kind of driven by like external forces to like prove myself, I feel like. And I was I don't know. It was just kind of fun, and I was like, I love music, and I was like a huge music nerd, but I was like, I should try like making my own shit. So I don't know what I was necessarily thinking at the time, but
Yeah, sometimes it's just like a like a like a subconscious drive, or just like I want to do this, and you're just like not even thinking about it. It's like kind of like a primal thing, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. You released Twisted Legs in September 2015, according to Bandcamp. How was that like for you making that? And like, was that was the first time you like put together a release?
yeah, definitely.
And what made you like decide to record it on your own?
I don't know. I just didn't know anything about recording, and I had a microphone, and I bought an interface, and I liked a lot of bedroom musician stuff, I guess. And I don't know, like when I look back on things, it makes me realize how little I think about a lot of decisions that I make, and how things just kind of happen. Like I seem to just like fall into random stuff. But yeah, I just had the one microphone, and I just did everything in stages, basically. Like I wrote like 20 or 25 songs. I think like they all sucked, you know. And then I just took 5, and then the summer I was home from college, the first summer, I like recorded them all, like first drums and then bass, guitar, and the other stuff, because I had nothing else to do. And yeah, I just like did each drum like individually. So I just put the mic on the snare drum and then just played through the whole song and hit it, because I just didn't know how to record music. And like it probably would have sounded better if I just put one mic on the whole kit and played it normally, but I thought I would like cheat the system and like have like a 5 mic sound, you know.
Wow, that's interesting.
But it just sounded really weird, and like I also didn't know how to like EQ or produce anything, so it just sounds really weird now. But I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of impressed that it sounds like you. Like it, like from the beginning, it seems like you kind of had your own sound, and it has been consistent throughout the releases. So like for me, like
Thanks.
like not only did I not have like the wherewithal or like the understanding that I should release songs as like a release. Like I should have all this. I should put a bunch of songs into one release. I didn't like. I was just like, I just want to make a song and put it up immediately, and like do like this instant gratification route, you know. So I don't know. Right. I think it's pretty cool that you were able to do it off the bat, and like knew that putting them out together was the way to go.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it is the way to go. I also just feel like I don't know. It's
Well, were you trying to like play the game? Did you know that you wanted to like get press eventually and like have a band, or like what? Were you not thinking about any of that?
I don't think I was thinking about any of that. I think I just wanted to prove that I like was a musician and like could release something, and it felt a lot more substantial to release like a collection of songs than one song. Although looking back, I kind of wish I had just released one song at a time, because that feels like a more contemporary way of releasing music or something.
Yeah.
Or like a better way to like get your footing. You know, just like release the best song you have at any point in time. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I think there's definitely something to that. I think there's like two kind of like intentions behind releasing one song at a time. Like obviously now like you can release a single and like really market yourself off of that, or like, you know, try to get one song playlisted on streaming services or whatever. But there's also the aspect of like, I think releasing one song is way more like artful, or like immediate, like I don't know, more like genuine, almost like this is what I did, you know, like this is I don't know, the immediacy of it feels more real, you know. Anyways, did you have a band at that point, or like when did you get a band together to start playing shows?
I did not have. Well, I did get a band together after that release, like just to play those songs because those are the only songs I had, and I finished that album like I think right as I started my sophomore year of college, and so the first show was like with my two friends Max and Jackson. I played bass and sang, and then they played guitar and drums, so it was like a three-piece, and we booked a show in the laundry room of one of the dorm buildings, and it was just like late at night and like completely unauthorized. So like the RAs were like, "You have to stop playing right now, or we're going to call campus security." And we sort of kept playing and then just ran, but we never got in trouble, weirdly enough. But that was. I don't know. I just had the idea for the show, and I think that's why the band kind of came together. Like
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did people come through?
Yeah, it was well attended. There's probably like 30 people in this laundry room, which was kind of sick. I mean, the sound was horrible because the floor is concrete and the walls are concrete, and like there's like nothing for it to like be the sound to be softened or dampened by. So it was just like inaudible, just noise basically.
Damn, that rules though.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I did another one of those shows where it was in another dorm building, common room. So that one I don't think got shut down either, but it was similar vibes where just like, I don't know. I just wanted to like kind of stir up some shit. I honestly have forgotten all about that stuff until now. So
wow, that's awesome.
I feel like I should do some more shit like that, but I don't know what the New York equivalent is. Just like playing on the subway.
Yeah, I don't know. There must be something. Yeah, that'd be sick.
Some way to just stir it up, I think.
I wish, dude. I wish there was more like pot stirring and DIY shows.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college again?
Went to Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon.
And what did you go for?
English literature.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about the next release from you, which was The Romantics.
Yeah, all right. Let's go. Fuck it.
Yeah, dude.
Going through the discography.
Yeah, what was up with that one?
That one. So that one I just got more. I mean, that one I made in my dorm. So I like and I didn't have a drum set really. So I was sort of forced to work with like GarageBand instruments. And that was kind of the beginning of me like using the sampler or like the built-in sounds. And I was also just trying to experiment with different genres because the first one I was just like, okay, I'm going to make like some indie rock pop. And then the second one I was like, well, I'm going to try and do something like more aligned to what I was listening to at the time. So I was trying to do some emo stuff and some pop stuff and some more dancey stuff and just more digital sounding.
Yeah.
And
to me, it sounds like, basically doing what you do. Like it's pretty consistent how like you have a wide range of influences that are all like based on kind of like catchiness in one way or another.
Yeah.
Whether it's like rhythm or melody, some songs are more like rhythmically catchy, I really liked that Girls Like Gazelles song.
That one's real poppy.
And I also liked the Fucker part 1 and 2.
That one's heavy, man.
Yeah. Goes from pop to metal.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so did you like you just like recorded these songs, put them together and put it out? Was there any sort of like promotion or anything at that point yet?
No, not really. This was all just, both of these were just for me. Like at this point in time, I really had zero involvement in like the music world, like in very little involvement in the Portland scene. And I had like very little expectation that me making music could go anywhere because I had never really done it before. So I was just kind of uploading it for myself and for my friends and the few people around me who cared. I mean, that's still how it is, but
yeah. It seems like, I mean, you did a lot. You're like really kind of prolific for the first few years.
Yeah, definitely.
The Sub Reptilian, NUI, release, which seems like it was, to quote you, some random acoustic bedroom jams I had to get out of my system, unquote.
Yeah.
Are these releases anything like things you think about still? Do you ever go back and listen to them?
Very occasionally, and it's mostly just kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't bring me joy. It definitely, I just listen to it and I'm like, wow, like this is so weird. Or like I had such a weird idea of, I don't know, what made songs good or like what I wanted to do. Like my taste felt really weird. So I don't know. I do listen to it, and I don't know. I think I've always been kind of the same level of prolific, but now I just spend a lot of more time in like post production.
Yeah.
Like, the songs are written, and then I have like, instead of just releasing the first like 5 songs that I like write like 50, and then I only release like 10. And then after I pick the 10, I spend like much longer time producing them. Like these things, like I would record and produce them like super quickly because I just didn't know what I was doing, and there was also like no expectation of like how good they should be.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna. Like right after I said that, I was thinking the same thing. Like you're doing what you did then. It's just you're more like thoughtful about it.
Yeah, I feel like the stakes are higher, or I'm trying to outdo myself, so it gets harder and harder.
Yeah. I missed the Swish one when I was going through. What was Swish about?
Swish was, so I actually made this after Pure Plush Bone Cage. It says it was released before, but because I re-released Pure Plush Bone Cage after it on this Portland label. That was like my first label release, so I put it out myself.
So Pure Plush came after Sub-Reptilian?
Yeah.
Okay.
And but Swish, yeah, chronologically it came before Swish, but it was re-released after Swish, so.
Interesting. Was it like a lesser, like, were they both on Good Cheer?
No, Swish was just self-released.
What's the reasoning
for self-releasing it?
What's the reason? Yeah, what's the reason Swish was self-released as opposed to Pure Plush, considering they came out?
I think like generally when I make an album, I like make the album and then I have like a bunch of other songs that are like more like silly, or I don't think like that, like kind of just are like offshoots or like B-sides or something. Mm-hmm. Like that's still true to this day. And so I think Swish was kind of like the offshoots and B-sides I was making during Pure Plush.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to listen to it, so I think maybe I would have picked up on that had I done so.
Well, yeah, it's just like the first half, it's like a black metal song, kind of like an indie pop song, an ambient song, or the first song is power pop, the fourth song is like black metal, and then the last 4 are like DJ Venmo tracks, which are basically me trying out like techno, R&B, kind of remixing my friends, and then 2 remixes of my friends' songs where I like sing or rap or something on them. So,
whoa, I gotta check out the black metal song.
Yeah, it's called Abscond. I think you'll like it. That was trying to rip off like Liturgy and like.
Dude, Liturgy is so sick.
I know, they're cool.
So, well, yeah, the Pure Plush is like when you started like really coming into your own in a way. I mean, it's probably the wildest one.
Which one? Pure Plush?
Yeah. But it's also, you know, the one that you started catching some buzz off of. Mm-hmm. So how did that come about, and like how did it feel to like start doing it a little bit more seriously and have people like see it?
Oh wait, sorry, I got distracted. Say that again. Sorry.
How did it come together? What was your feeling about it? Like, this is the first time it seems like you're really like taking it seriously and people are seeing it, and like,
oh yeah.
But it's also like a very kind of particular release as opposed to pretty much anything else you've done. I mean, all the songs are 2 minutes or less, and that's very like, I don't know. It's like its own thing, you know. It's like a very specific type of idea, I feel like, behind this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just at that point I was like, okay, well, 3 releases or 4, whatever, and they're like a bunch of EPs. And I was like, I should make like a full length album. And like I had been fucking around with various styles, kind of sampling stuff. And I was like, I want to make something in a very like specific aesthetic and like have it be very cohesive. And so I imposed like limitations on what I would allow myself to do. So I was like, no songs longer than 2 minutes. And I mean, it still draws, I still think it's like kind of genre hopping all the time, but like the production and everything kind of keeps it together, I think. And I was like, I want one 10-minute long song at the end, just because like a bunch of the albums I liked at the time did that. So
that's pretty sick. Yeah, I remember you talking on the KEXP performance about the limitations thing.
Yeah, I honestly should get back to that. I haven't been doing that since this album, basically.
Yeah, same here. When I started doing comps, it was like trying to keep it as simple as possible, and like, and since then I've really kind of like allowed my old impulses to resurface, but I don't know, it's hard. It's hard to, especially when, I know how it is, like, working, kind of, like, having, like, a very insular and isolated process of, like, writing and recording. It's really, like, easy to get away from yourself.
Right. I don't know. It's, the limitations thing was good. I think it resulted in a very cohesive product, and, like, it did help with something that I think a lot of solo artists struggle with, which is, like, kind of keeping yourself in check, because when you have a band there to kind of check you, like, I feel like you don't indulge your like silliest ideas as much, like because you're embarrassed or something. And I feel like you can kind of simulate that kind of checks and balances by like coming up with your own rules. So yeah,
totally.
There we go. Album number LP1, Turtlenecked.
Yeah, how did it like? What was it about it this time that, like, was it just the Good Cheer affiliation that got eyes on it? Or, like, what, how did,
I think at this point in time I had met Isaac in Portland and, like, a bunch of Portland bands. And so I put it out, and I was friends with some people who knew Isaac. And
Isaac from Strange Ranger, if anybody.
Yeah. For clarification. And I think he posted the song Mondrian on the Strange Ranger Facebook page or something, and then my other friend Mo Troper heard it, and like this was when Good Cheer was like much younger, I think. So he contacted me and was like, blah blah blah, like we want to put out your album on tape, like re-release it. And I met him at a coffee shop for the first time ever, and it was all super exciting for me because I had already like known his music like through the local scene and like seeing his like pitchfork coverage and shit. So I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and then they re-released it on cassette, and I did one run of yellow tapes and one run of pink tapes, and the rest is history.
Did you, at that point, were you thinking like, I want to start taking this more seriously? Like, did you tour it all? Were you thinking about
I didn't tour it at all. I did play a bunch of Portland shows for it. I mean, that was everything was just starting to come together then. So that was probably the first time I felt like someone actually gave a shit, or I was like operating at like an like inoffensive level or something where people would actually like listen to it or something, instead of just like my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
And
that
obviously
was cool.
You like wanted people to hear it, right?
Yeah. But I still also felt, I mean, it was like a tape label in Portland, and I just felt like it didn't make me feel like I could make a career out of it, but definitely getting coverage on like the Fader and Stereo Gum was like crazy. And just really fun.
That was just like a natural thing, like.
So that just came by way of Blake Hickman, who runs Good Cheer, and he like did all the PR for it. So he had the hookups with the blogs and whatnot. Yeah.
I wonder how he's got that. You think he just emails people?
He emails people. I don't know. Some of it's like weird connections. I can talk more about this with later albums too. I think when he started, like, you know, when this album came out like 3 years ago or whatever, like, for 4 years, he would like pay a PR person to do it, and like they have all the connections, you know, and you just like pay them to hit up their connections and send the album around. But now I don't know if that's as common. I think people find stuff more directly through like Twitter or like friends of friends and stuff. Like it seemed like PR wasn't working out like in the most recent years. So I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely did not work out for me.
Yeah, it seems insane. I have no idea how any of that stuff works.
Yeah, I guess you just have to know somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah.
Well, what was this Caveat release? The Caveat released September 14th, 2016.
So yeah, Caveat was basically a collection of songs I wrote over the summer that I got signed to Good Cheer to put out the tape. And I was trying to just make some stuff that I would just write on one electric guitar that could just be played alone, and trying to focus more on lyrics and just recording everything on like one take. And I think it kind of sounds like shit, but I was trying to make it sound like Beat Happening on purpose. But at this point in time, I didn't realize that you actually needed like nice tape equipment to get the Beat Happening sound. But I was just trying to go for the like DIY kind of like raw, straight up thing, just to release something like quickly and fun.
That's so sick. Yeah, I actually noted that production was like sounding better on that one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I probably just knew a lot more at this point in time. This is like post Pure Plush and post Swish. So like even when I was just trying to record one-off shit, it had a little bit more knowledge, just like where to put a mic or
how
to compress a vocal or something.
It was also so much more minimal, you know?
Yeah, it's super minimal, so it's not cluttered with noise. Pure Plush, I wanted it to be like really fuzzy and lo-fi, so...
Yeah, what's the reason, like, why do you think this one was not on Good Cheer either?
No, I just released this myself for fun.
So that's probably why it didn't get as many people listening compared to Pure Plush.
Probably. I didn't really intend for a lot of people to listen to it, because I feel like I was just looking at it, it's like stuff in case is like me like figuring out or trying out stuff, and then uppercase stuff is more like official releases.
Whoa.
I feel. I don't think that was even that intentional, but it just happened to be that way. So
that's pretty cool. That's a neat little thing. That's inside the artist.
Yeah, I think Isaac thinks that Caveat is like my best album ever, but like that's just because he has a particular taste. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So you just like recorded it and put it out, basically.
Yep, really fast.
And then you released a single, which was part of Vulture. So let's just talk about Vulture.
Yes. The single has an interesting story to it, honestly.
Okay, what's the story?
So I released Boys Club, the first single, the day after Trump was elected. And a bunch of artists, like I had the single like planned for a while, you know, and I just didn't, I think because everyone thought Hillary was going to be elected, I didn't really think about the context of it being released, you know. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll have a new like vaguely positive president, and I will put out this song. But instead Trump got elected, which was just mind blowing for everyone. Mm-hmm. And then I have this song, Boys Club, which was released the day after, which is sort of like a politically charged song. And when all these artists were releasing songs the week after the election, like Spin Magazine did a feature on artists who were like donating all their profits to like different like civil liberties unions or like charities and whatnot to kind of retaliate against the election. Mm-hmm. And I had done that as well. Like I had talked to Blake and I was like, let's continue to release it the day after, but let's just like have all the profits go to like the ACLU or something. Mm-hmm. And so that happened. And then I think I got a lot of coverage because of that. That's how my like booking agent, or like former booking agent, Greg Horble, discovered me and ended up helping me book a tour across the U.S.
Interesting. Do you still work with Greg at all?
I still talk to him and see him around, but I haven't like planned any tours, or like, I don't know. We haven't like had like a professional relationship recently, so I don't know. Scratch that from the record. I don't know. But yeah, so that happened.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
sick.
there's the album.
So you guys had like an album cycle planned for Vulture?
Yeah, that one was probably the biggest rollout of all of them. So far, I guess.
How did it feel putting it together, and how did it feel doing the album cycle? Were you stressed? Were you excited?
I was really excited because Pure Plush had gone so well, and like I just didn't really know what was going to happen. So I I don't know, and I was also like, I basically recorded the album over the summer of 2016 in my living room in Portland, and my friend Garrett Link like recorded the whole thing basically, and like gave me a bunch of cool tools to use. So that felt like the most professional recording I'd done yet. Like he has like a really amazing like 60s like Supro amp that sounds amazing, and like all of these like boutique pedals that I got to like play with. So that whole process like kind of felt like I was going into a studio and like being allowed to like step up the fidelity of like different tones and everything. And he like mixed the whole thing. So
I mean, pretty much everything about it sounds next level. You know, it sounds like you leveled up a lot. And like even the performances are like way more expressive, and the songs are, I think, you know, more sophisticated sounding.
Thank you.
How do you like it? Does it hold up for you? Do you listen to it?
No, I don't really listen to it. I also don't even think it holds up that well. I feel like, I don't know, I have a lot of regrets about it because it got critically panned, basically.
Yeah, I was going to ask about this. Ian Cohen was not very nice about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't give it like a terrible score, like a 6 or something.
Yeah, I got a 6, which is like, middling.
He was really blunt about, some of his feelings about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel mixed about that too. Like, I had never like received. I mean, I went from having like zero criticism on my music, and like zero publicity, to having like all of it in like the span of a year, kind of like.
Yeah.
So I had I had no idea that this album would be reviewed by Pitchfork, or that anyone would really care about it. Like, I thought it would just be like another kind of low-key thing.
That's so scary.
So it is, and I mean, I don't know. I also just I don't know. I feel like I wasn't prepping an album for like mainstream dissemination and criticism. And I don't know, I have a lot of different feelings about it. Like, I do regret a lot because I think some of the lyrics are like the worst parts of it and what makes it like bad to me. Mm-hmm. Other things I like about it a lot. And I definitely changed a lot about the way I make music, or like the way I write lyrics or think about them. Mm-hmm. I think at the time I had just had like a lot of angst that I wanted to express. And I kind of felt like, I don't know. I didn't think my music was that cynical or came across that way, but the review made me definitely like take a second look at it. I always thought my music was kind of playful while being cynical or something, but I think the cynicism perhaps like outweighs it. So I don't know. That's something and I don't really feel like a cynical person. I just feel angsty and like confused or something. So I've been trying to, I don't know, post that. I've tried to write in a style that's more representative of the way that I feel and act in real life, I guess, or like is more like the music I like. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's really interesting. It sounds like it was more or less positive then. I mean, for your growth anyways.
Definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I would have liked more critical opinions on it because I really only got his, and it's just like one guy's opinion. So I
Right.
do value that, but I would have been interested to hear what like other people had said if I had gotten other reviews. But I
Yeah, because
didn't.
I always think that I'm like prepared for my music to like be like critiqued by like a major publication or whatever, but then I'm like, I start thinking about it like realistically. I'm like, oh God, there's no way like it would be received in the way that I want it to be. But then when you're
Mm-hmm.
making it, you also have in mind that no one's gonna listen to it, so you kind of like slack off in certain places or like do things like
Yeah.
that you probably wouldn't do if you knew for sure that it was going to be reviewed, by a
Yeah.
publication.
I mean, I think just like you, like everybody has like a critical muscle, and like at this point in time, like there was no reason for me to exercise it in such a severe or like intense way, or like because there just wasn't the attention, and I just didn't know that much about music, and I was just kind of like I didn't know what was going to happen, so there was no reason for me to be like hypercritical of my work because I was basically just making it for me. And when I realized that like a lot of people were going to be like listening to it and like criticizing it, I was kind of blown away because I had just never even considered some of the like criticisms that were like leveled at it. And
Right.
so post that, I've definitely been much more keen about the way that songs will be interpreted, or like the way that characters are created, or like just the general vibe of a song, like how it feels like overall beyond like particular, riffs or instruments or like aesthetic choices. So I don't know. It was a learning experience, but I feel like all of my albums are. So,
Yeah, totally. I mean, it really shows that you took, that to heart and like really internalized it. Because High Scores of the Heart that came out next in April 2018 is the most tight, and like polished record that you've done up till that point.
thank you.
What did you record this one yourself?
I did. All of it's recorded. Well, most of it's recorded myself.
I
But
mean,
High Scores was like,
it sounds pro. I don't know like what you did to like level up between recording Pure Plush and Caveat and all that.
well, honestly, it has to do with Springtime in Hell, the following release. This is kind of like a Swish Pure Plush situation where I was making Springtime in Hell after like while I was rolling out Vulture and like all of I don't know, like while I was making Springtime in Hell, I made High Scores with a Heart as like throwaway or like fun tracks. Like I was working at this IT desk in the library at Lewis and Clark, and usually like no one would come up, so I would be able to like screw around and fiddle with Logic for like hours on end. And so I was just getting way more into like making beats and trying to make like music, like the electronic music that I like. Um, while at the same time like working on this rock album, which was like Springtime in Hell, which is kind of like this sort of like rock opera thing. And
Yeah,
basically
totally.
what ended up happening is over the course of that, like, so my friend Jesse Robertson produced Springtime in Hell, and he's like an excellent producer, like much better than me. And I just learned like a ton from him. So I applied that to High Scores, which I produced myself. And then I ended up liking High Scores even more than Springtime. So I released High Scores first, and then I cut like 6 or 7 of the tracks from Springtime and then released it as an EP afterwards.
Whoa,
So they're
that's
kind of
really
like,
interesting.
yeah, it's super weird rollout, but yeah.
Are you able to hear Dookie?
I can hear him. Yeah, he's going ape shit in the background.
One sec. Okay. Okay, so yeah, High Scores in Springtime in Hell were kind of like companion pieces then.
Yes, I had the art done by the same artist, and yeah, they're made at the same time basically, but just kind of in different styles. So yeah,
And released through Good Cheer.
Yeah, both of them.
What kind of stuff were you like into at the time? Because Springtime in Hell, I kind of get like like you said, like rock opera, or like I hear like kind of like 60s, kind of more like a 60s thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me look at the full spring. I wish I didn't delete my last FM or like forget my
Oh
password.
yeah, dude.
Because then I would be able to look at exactly what. I don't know. Also during springtime, I like deleted my entire iTunes library and switched to Spotify. So that kind of fucked my archiving of information. But
dude, if I didn't have like a Facebook, I would not know my past. There's so much stuff that I would have forgotten, and like the timeline of it, and like when stuff happened, I have no idea unless I'm like go back through my social media or like files, you know.
Damn, I haven't been on Facebook in like so long. I bet I would find some insane shit on there, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I get like anxiety about like Facebook suddenly being like deleted or something, and like I really want to go through and archive like all my posts and like put them on like a hard drive or something, because otherwise like I seriously like just would not. I'd forget everything. There's so much, like I wouldn't know when stuff happened.
I know. That's how I feel about the whole, like, I don't know what I was listening to during this period. I remember this is like when I studied abroad in Spain, and I remember like listening to specific stuff there like over and over. That period in time, I got like really into Primal Scream, and I got really into like I was really into Jens Lekman before that. I was really into Royal Headache. What else? There's like particular albums that I just like blasted on repeat. Like I was just like chain smoking, walking around Spain, like listening to American music. Yeah, it rocked. Lies was kind of like Public Image Limited ripoff. I was definitely into like cymbals and guitars heavy. There's kind of a thing where like I have like a delayed response to the artist that I'm listening to. Like I end up like an album or two down the road, I start ripping them off. So like I wasn't really ripping off Primal Scream here, or like I was listening to Public Image Limited and Cymbals and Guitars like the year prior to making Springtime, and so yeah, I don't know, but I just like a lot more like I wanted to make like a more ambitious rock record, and I also wanted to like refute the criticisms leveled against Vulture, where like the ambition and the scope were greater and the lyrics were more like personal and urgent kind of and more specific, and I ended up just not even liking it, so I just cut like half the songs and just released what I thought were the best 5, I guess. So
did you tour around this time?
So this is when I toured Vulture. It's kind of when I was working on this like a month-long tour around the U.S. basically.
And so, how did you feel when you finally released High Scores? Because I mean, it was the longest time that you'd spent on one project.
Yeah. I felt pretty good about releasing High Scores. This was post-tour, so I was back in Portland in my senior year of school. And I don't know, I coming back from that tour, like even though the album poorly, it felt like an accomplishment, and I felt like more of a professional musician than ever. And it felt cool to be in school and also doing music at a high level, and releasing music like in that state of mind just I felt comfortable about it. And I felt comfortable about releasing something that was like a little more wacky, or like, you know, me trying out new things, because I felt confident about doing whatever I wanted. So yeah, and I feel like High Score is probably one of my best releases to date, so I'm pretty pleased.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like the most, like I said before, polished, like consistent, you know. It's most
Thank
focused.
you. Thanks.
I guess that brings us to now. I mean, what's going on? I know you got an album pretty much done, right?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing this thing I've always like a rock album and then a mixtape going on. Like this trend dates back to Pure Plush and Swish, and then High Scores and Springtime or Vulture and Caveat. Like that's I keep doing that same thing, and I think I know like Animal Collective do that where they alternate an EP and an album, and the EPs kind of bridge the gap between styles.
Yeah,
so I feel like that's kind of happening right now, and I'm also going to do the same thing as High Scores, where I release the mixtape before the album. So I have a mixtape called Lifestyles that I'm trying to finish by Valentine's Day, and I'm just going to release it with like no PR and nothing because it's just for me. And then I have a album called Kapow, which I will release later in 2020. I also just want to like kind of hit the world with 2 releases in 1 year since I've been relatively quiet since 2018. So
yeah, totly.
There's that.
I love the little like nuance that, and the little like I don't know what the word is, like specific like nuances. Do you know the word I'm trying to say? It starts with an I, maybe.
Idiosyncrasies.
Basically, I mean that's basically the word I'm looking for, but I don't know if that's the exact one. But regardless, I mean that's just little things that people don't really pick up on unless they're looking closely. But it's like, you know, it represents the depth, you know, of the artistry, and I don't know. It's easy for those things to go unnoticed and unappreciated.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. Okay, so tell me again. Lifestyles by Valentine's Day, and then Kapow.
Later on, I guess. Yeah, even though they were made in sort of names.
Are you gonna do any like label pitching and stuff for Kapow?
I've tried a little bit, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody's interested, and frankly, I don't really give a fuck anymore. So I'm just gonna put it out for myself because that makes me happier. And if somebody wants to put it out, that would be amazing. But I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know. I feel like I had more fun when I cared less about what other people thought and this is all kind of like, you know, a given, but like obviously like not worrying so much about the release and like how people will receive it or if it'll make money or something. Like ignoring all those makes for like a better time. So I'm going to try and do that. But
yeah, maybe I should get back into that because I was thinking about maybe like doing an indie EP, an independently released EP myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I did that for so long where I was just like releasing stuff and not like really trying to put it out there. And I felt like, I don't know, I was like kind of like denying myself from what I was actually wanting, which was like for people to listen to it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard. It does suck to release something and then have nobody listen to it, and then you're just kind of like, well, what was that for?
Yeah.
But I feel like if you have faith in your own stuff and like just try and disregard any outside forces, then it feels a lot better.
Yeah, I think like the ideal situation would be to like, you know, garner that or like grow that audience by, you know, playing the little album cycle game or whatever you need to do, and then you know, then stop doing that once you have people that like are your fans, you know, once you have some fans or like an amount of fans that you're comfortable with.
Definitely. I don't know how anything works.
Yeah, I don't either. And it's so hard to get anyone to care. It's like so stressful.
Yeah, who cares? I feel like I'm just trying to ignore party on my own terms, and if people want to come, then that's fine, and if they don't, then they can fuck off. So
hell yeah.
I feel like that's just the best way to go about it.
Well, that's punk to me.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like that's kind of what Strange Ranger have done in a way. I mean, it's not like they're not successful, but they are just like, for a long time, they've built up a fan base of people who really, really care about them, and they haven't had like a ton of like buzz or something. And I feel like the buzz is coming later, and I feel like that's kind of ideal, honestly, because it's not just like you have this buzz and then it's gone. Like there's a large group of people who like care about their music in like a very like long lasting way. And I don't know.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
seems ideal.
they're totally just like the type that they're gonna do their thing regardless if anybody is paying attention.
Yeah.
But by doing that, it's like a consistent like effort that people notice.
I don't know. You got any more questions for me? What's going on?
Well, we can get
to the real shit, Jeff. Come on. Tear me apart.
I've got some like life type of questions, like living in New York and like how you feel about that, and then I've got some more like songwriting related questions, and then I've also got just like what kind of movies you've been watching type questions.
Hell yeah, let's
just go through those three, and then we can wrap, or we can keep going. I don't care.
Hell yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
So yeah, how long have you been in New York City?
1.5 years.
How do you like it?
It's okay. It's pretty good. It's up and down, but I have a lot of fun, and I also have very bad times.
Yeah. Has it influenced your like output and like the way you write at all?
It has. I definitely like am now I'm more driven by style. I'm like more interested in style than ever before. Like I've always like feel like I've tried to listen to been interested in very stylish music, but now I want to like make that. And I feel like I have the production skills and like taste and like age ability to kind of achieve that. Like I feel like before I've always kind of failed stylistically, and I feel like the passion and like the feeling for music is there, but I haven't been able to like express it in the way that I want. And I feel like I'm closer to that than ever. And I feel like living in New York has helped because there's more pressure to be stylish and to like, I don't know, like people care about music here, and it's just like, there's more potential for actual success. So
totally.
I don't know. All that stuff is like kind of like a crucible for making good stuff, I think. But
yeah,
it's also harder because I get distracted all the time. There's a bajillion distractions and like work to be done and like rent to be paid. So I'm just trying to make music in between.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I wish I lived in New York. I feel like everywhere else is just, it's just never going to reach that. Like the ceiling is so much lower, and I don't know, like Philly is cool, and I definitely like living here, and I'm very happy to be here. But there's, people in New York that you're not going to meet anywhere else.
Definitely.
People you're going to see that you're not going to see.
Definitely.
So I don't know, how do you start writing a song?
Whoa. All right. I feel like it varies. It's like, I'm trying to think, like, let me look at more recent examples. Like sometimes recently I've been coming up with song titles, trying to write songs like after the fact. I feel like that actually helps me write like things that I find to be stylish, like kind of like top down. Like if it has a cool title, then I can like try and live up to that title. Because like when I look at like track lists for albums that come out, I usually like listen to the singles and then I scan the track list for like song titles that I think are like the coolest. And like some of the best songs are just like one person saying like a cool phrase over and over again.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I don't know. And now that I'm addicted to style and shit, I'm just trying to do some of that stuff. So I don't know. So recently I've been coming up with titles and then writing songs after that.
That's interesting because it's like I haven't done that specifically. I'm curious about trying it now, but for me, I kind of like do the same thing, but like setting like an intention, like what kind of song am I trying to write? Like what like mood and like what's my feeling? Trying to write the song like it's usually not. It usually doesn't start with noodling. It starts with cerebral. It's kind of like a more you're thinking about it before you start it.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely do more of a top-down thing than like, coming up with a riff that I like and then building a song around that. I definitely think in more like I want to rip off this genre, or like I want to like push this idea to its like logical conclusion, or just like it would be funny for me to do this because that's like out of my wheelhouse, or like I think it would people out, or like people will like, I don't know. There's a lot of different considerations that go into it. And that being said, like recently a lot of the, like I actually have been doing, I guess I'm kind of lying. I think recently I have been doing a lot of noodling too. So it's, but more just in the way of like making beats, and then I like make some kind of beat that I find interesting, and then I'll build the song around that. I don't know. I'm really like worried about making rock music, or like not making rock music. So
why is that?
Well, I just don't know. I worry that it's like a dead genre, and it's not a dead genre. It's just like, it's like painting, like painting will always be popular basically. And at the same time, I feel the urge to like move music forward, or like make music that sounds contemporary, or like that it could be contemporary in the future, because I like am wary of like retro culture and retro styles, because it all seems like very casual and like regressive or something. So
yeah, I definitely feel that, and I have that same anxiety about playing rock, but then I get stressed out because I don't really have the skill. I don't know. I'm never happy with my product when I start on any instrument other than guitar.
Yeah, interesting.
And it's hard to write a song that's not a rock song when you're playing on guitar.
I know it is.
So I don't know. For me, I'm thinking like about just going full into like, you've heard my newer song, like making more kind of like straight up emo alternative rock.
Yeah.
So like I know I can do that, and I know there is a demographic and an audience that listens to it, but it's not necessarily, I want to write cool stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how to write like an emo alternative song to keep it cool.
It's hard.
But then when you're keeping it cool, like you're not going to get, you're sacrificing a particular audience,
For sure. I guess at this point, I don't care. I'm just down for the cool life, whatever that means. I'm just gonna try. You just
want to like, whether people listen or not, you just kind of want to like.
I kind of just
participate in like the pushing of the, I don't know, in vogue type of sound, or like, I just participate in the evolution of music or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I just read essay, well, two of them on style and against interpretation, and she's basically just talking about how people like understand art through the binary of form and content, or like style and content basically. And she's just positing, or like making the argument that like style is inseparable from content, and it's not like you could have the content of a work of art without the style, or like it's just like fruitless to imagine that. And so like I just want to focus more on the style, because if I do focus on the style and I get it into a style that I like, it will inevitably influence the content. And I feel like when there is music that I am particularly attracted to the style of, like a cool band, for example, like, I don't know, like The Fall, or like I don't know, I'm trying to think of other, like Beat Happening or something. Like I will spend much more time with that band because I'm impressed by the style and the aesthetic and the like delivery and everything that goes into the aesthetic performance of it. And like I will give it more like credibility in the way of like whatever you would associate with content, like melodies or lyrics or all of those things. Like I will like give it more leeway and more attention just because the style is so intoxicating, and I think the music is cool and I want to like it more. Whereas like if I listen to like, for example, like an emo song that I think is like uber uncool, but I think the melodies and whatever are good. Like like it'll appeal to me, no doubt, but it'll be sort of like a guilty pleasure where I know that it's not like the aesthetic of it isn't like advancing music. It's not like interesting to me or like new or like cutting edge or something. But I just know that the person is a good songwriter or something like that. Like I'm trying to move away from that more. I don't know.
God, because that's me, dude. I'm totally the opposite, where it's like I'm not thinking about the style at all. I'm like, I mean, I try to, especially for my own stuff, I'm trying to be like really thoughtful about like the presentation. But when I'm listening to music, it's all about the melodies or like whether it makes me feel something when I'm listening to it.
Right.
And like I don't care like really the presentation or style if it doesn't have the like melodies or like the songwriting. Like I'm super obsessed with songwriting.
Right. I used to feel that way, but like I don't know. The thing is, like, I know people who are great songwriters don't have a style that I'm interested in. And so it's like you can write the like, you know, best pop song in the world, but if it doesn't like feel cool or stylish or like, and maybe that sounds like superficial or something, but I think it's actually very, very difficult to develop a unique and new style. And it's like, I think it's underrated by most like underground artists. It's like probably overrated by like certain pop artists or like people who are just like overboard with like looking cool and making cool music. And like I do agree that like sometimes things can be like overproduced or like over affected and the songwriting is not really there. Mm-hmm. But like I think just coming up with a new style or a new attitude or like an intoxicating vibe or something is just as impressive as writing a good song. Like I think anybody
totally agree.
Like, I don't know. So like lately I just feel like my style is like the less like developed element of my music. And I want the style to be cooler because I feel like now it's like, okay, I can string a verse and a chorus together and I can like produce it in like a semi-professional way. And it's like, so now I want to focus on just like the other half of music where it's just like having the right attitude. And like, I guess like I have like a good example of this is like Destroyer. Do you ever listen to him?
I actually listened to one song from him recently for the first time, and I didn't really like it.
You didn't really like it? What song was
it? It was Bay of Pigs.
Oh, I fucking love that song. But here's the thing. This is like more of like a cultural statement. It's like, so basically, so like all of like Destroyer has like a huge career and like has like all of these albums and I love most of them. I think most of them are really sick and like he has a ton of personality and like has like fascinating lyrics and like, you know, has a ton of content, like whatever you would think of content as, like, you know, interesting lyrics, good song structures, good riffs, like all of the like meat and like potatoes of music. Like I feel like he has a ton of it. But his one album that is like his most beloved and biggest critical success is Kaput, mm-hmm. which Bay of Pigs is on. It's like, and it is also like by far the most stylish Destroyer album. Like it is like so like cool sounding. Like he's singing in this like very like disaffected, like casual way. Like it just like it makes the whole enterprise like more interesting. And it's like there's a reason that there's so many fans who like are obsessed with that album and then don't care about the rest of his discography because he's cooked up this style that like makes everything else like interesting. Like I'm trying to think of a good metaphor for it, but it's like, I don't know, the style is just like the play for like the sex of the music or something. Yeah. And like literally like, you know, you don't want to, like if you're gonna have sex with someone, you want there to be like this kind of like guiding you into it, some kind of like layer that makes you like enjoy it. Like you don't want to just like go from talking to someone having sex. This is a terrible fucking metaphor, but it's just, dude, like
it's all about the packaging. I mean, in music business and like entertainment, packaging is like just as important, if not more important, than the music itself. You know, I mean, look at Slipknot. I mean, like they have an obvious like style. You know, it's like you know, you have to have the presentation, and I've always been really bad at that myself, and like trying to like develop my taste more. I don't know. What can you put into words like the style that you're going for with the new record?
I mean, I don't know. I think that honestly, my tape is even like it's more stylish than Kapow. Like Kapow is like a little embarrassing. It's like a like has more embarrassing influences and is like not produced as well. But like I'm just thinking of like more stylish artists, like music that I would put in a DJ set, like send to someone because I think it's cool as fuck, or it'll like make me cool, or just like more pristine production, like stylish and like I don't know, just like maybe more expressionist lyrics instead of like emotionally like diaristic or something, or if they are diaristic, just like in a cool style. Like before, I've definitely felt like the emotions and whatever of the music should like take precedent, and so you should just be as like honest as possible. But I honestly don't think that's true anymore. Like I think, like, not to keep bringing up Isaac, but like when you think about his lyrical style, he has like extreme style, and like his lyrics are very opaque and like cool sounding. And I think literally because they're cool sounding, people read a lot more into them than they would, and they resonate with them a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sad about this thing, and this is exactly what it is. Or like, you know, like he sells them this emotion, and it's like uber stylistic package, and that makes people like care about it. And maybe that's just people being shallow and like wanting to like have cool music to make them feel cool and to show their friends. But I think it also just makes you more interested in it. Like musicians are like icons of style in a way, and like I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, totally. I mean, it adds like a mystique, but I mean, like the music you listen to is like an accessory, and it's like a badge, and it's something that represents you, and it represents your taste, you know? So I think that's, you know, natural. And do you ever listen to like Deftones?
A little bit, not a lot.
Their singer Chino has like a similar thing of like writing these like kind of like mysterious and like ambiguous lyrics.
Yeah.
And I don't know, all that stuff, like the style element like totally adds a mystique and like wanting to know more about who makes it. And like I don't know, it's probably it makes me feel like I gotta get off of what I'm on, which is like thinking if I make a good enough song, it won't matter like what genre it is, and it won't matter, you know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like if I fundamentally like write a really good song, then nothing else, you know, hopefully it'll overcome my shortcomings in terms of style.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and beyond style, I just mean like, it doesn't even just mean like whether it's cool or not, but just the way it's delivered. And the way it's delivered, I think, is just as important. Like not necessarily like if it's cool or not, but just like the way that you deliver it. So it's like choosing to produce a song in the style of, you know, like a stripped down acoustic version versus like something else. Because when you, for example, like say you write a song, like if you produce it in a like pop rock style instead of like, you know, a Leonard Cohen minimal style, like that changes everything about the song. Like the content itself is altered by the delivery. And so I'm just like trying to focus on the delivery. I feel like that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, there is no ideal song like at the core of any song. The delivery like is the song.
Yeah. The execution.
And that's like kind of what I'm like obsessed with lately. Like you can write any lyrics or any melodies, and if you just deliver it in the right way, you know, this isn't like always true, but like I think to an extent, like you can make it either great or terrible. And like,
no, you're totally correct, and I definitely agree.
I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking about lately. So I'm trying to crank up the style.
When you started, did you know that you wanted to do like verse chorus stuff? Or did you think about it?
Pretty much. I think when I started, I was trying to make more complex stuff. Like if you listen to Pure Plush, like the structures are a lot more complex than what I do now, I think. And I don't know. I think I didn't realize at the time that a lot of the stuff I liked was verse, chorus, verse, but they were just doing weird verses and weird choruses. And instead I thought it was like a weird structure of a bunch of like weird parts. And like, I didn't really understand how songs were written or like why I liked the songs I liked. And I think now I have a much better understanding of that. And I pretty much like regular pop structures, but just like weirder aesthetics and like weirder lyrics. Like all the smaller parts are weirder, but the like overall structure is relatively normal.
Yeah, I totally was the same way to a degree. I mean, I intentionally was like avoiding pop structures, or if I was doing it, I wanted to do it like something experimental, like taking a post-rock sound and making it a pop structure as opposed to like, you know,
Right.
how post-rock songs typically are. But then like, I don't know, for the other type of rock, whatever, trip hop, whatever it was that I was doing, was purposely avoiding too much repetition and like really liked like it was more about composing, you know. It wasn't about songwriting. It was like composing.
For sure.
Until I realized like people don't want to listen to that. You know, like most people want to hear a chorus, you know.
That's true.
And then once I was honest about what I wanted, which was, you know, I wanted people to listen to it, I started like, you know, quote unquote selling out a little bit with my sound.
I feel the same way. I feel like it's been for the best too. I'm gonna listen to Team Sleep. I have a backlog that I need to listen to.
Check out Team Sleep, and thank you.
Oh my God, my pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for inquiring.
Yeah, dude. We'll do another one, you know, down the line.
Yeah, baby. Post mixtape, post album.
Yeah, hell yeah.
After I get a 4 on Pitchfork, you can interview me on Suicide Watch.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, dude.